All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Valsa Williams and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair virtual Global Investor Roundtable Conference today. Campaigning for third and final phase of assembly elections in Bihar ends this evening. Paddy procurement during current Kharif season goes up by more than 20% over last year. Second batch of 3 Rafale aircraft lands at Jamnagar Air Base in Gujarat. Cinema halls, drama theatres, multiplexes and auditoriums to reopen in Maharashtra from today. And in IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians to take on Delhi Capitals in first qualifier in Dubai this evening. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair the virtual Global Investor Roundtable Conference this evening. The roundtable is being organized by the Ministry of Finance and National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. It is an exclusive dialogue between leading global institutional investors, Indian business leaders, and the highest decision makers from the Government of India and financial market regulators. Union Finance Minister, Minister of State for Finance, RBI Governor and other dignitaries will also be present on the occasion. A report.
The roundtable will witness participation from 20 of world's largest pension and sovereign wealth funds with a total assets under management of about $6 trillion. These global institutional investors represent key regions including the US, Europe, Canada, Korea, Japan, Middle East, Australia and Singapore. The event will witness participation of key decision makers of these funds like the CEOs and CIOs. Some of these investors would also be engaging for the first time with Government of India. Apart from global investors, the roundtable will also see participation of several top Indian business leaders. The virtual Global Investor Roundtable will focus on discussions around India's economic and investment outlook, structural reforms, and the government's vision for a path to a $5 trillion economy. The event will provide an opportunity to leading global investors and Indian business leaders to engage and deliberate with senior policymakers on how to further accelerate the growth of international investments in India. Foreign investments in India this fiscal is the highest ever for the first 5 months of a financial year. Virtual Global Investor Roundtable will also provide an occasion for all stakeholders to further cement the stronger partnerships that have been built and to foster engagement with international institutional investors who are looking to increase their Indian investments. Anupam Mishra, AI News, Delhi.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Italian counterpart Giuseppe Conte will hold a virtual bilateral summit tomorrow. Ministry of External Affairs, the virtual bilateral summit will give an opportunity to the 2 leaders to comprehensively review the broad framework of the bilateral relationship and exchange views on major regional and global issues of mutual concern. Several government-to-government and private sector agreements or MOUs are under finalization and will be concluded on this occasion. India and Italy share a warm and multifaceted relationship based on strong historical ties, common democratic traditions, rule of law, and a shared goal of international peace and stability.
In Bihar, campaigning for the third and final phase of assembly elections will end this evening. 78 constituencies spread over 15 districts, including Kishanganj, Katihar, Madhepura and Supaul will go to polls in this phase on Saturday. Polling for by-election to Valmiki Nagar Lok Sabha seat will also be held simultaneously. Our correspondent has filed this report on campaigning in the state.
Seeking support in favor of NDA candidate, BJP President JP Nadda said opposition has no agenda of development. They are only misguiding people of the state. Addressing election rally in Madhubani, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath said terrorism and Naxalism could not be expanded in country if politics of appeasement was not adopted. In Kishanganj and Araria, senior RJD leader Tejaswi Yadav said this is not for assembly elections, but it is agitation for eradication of unemployment. In an election meeting in Madhepura, Janata Dal United President Nitish Kumar said some people are promoting divisive forces. Krishna Kumar Lal, AIR News, Patna.
The Election Commission of India is organizing a 3-day international virtual election visitors program for foreign election management bodies and organizations from today in the context of the ongoing Bihar Legislative Assembly elections. The whole body had organized international election visitor programs in 2014 Lok Sabha elections, elections for a few state assemblies in February-March 2017 and Lok Sabha elections last year. The Commission said Bihar has an electorate of over 72 million, one of the largest in the world to vote so far amid the COVID-19 pandemic, and it provides an opportunity to share the best practices and experience of the conduct of the poll process during the pandemic period. Today, an online briefing session will be held which would provide to the participants an overview of the large canvas of Indian electoral process, the new initiatives taken by the Election Commission on voter facilitation, transparency and accessibility of electoral system, and ECI's response to the changing needs of training and capacity building. The keynote address at the inaugural session will be delivered by Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora. The session will also be addressed by Election Commissioners Rajiv Kumar and Sushil Chandra. Procurement of paddy in the current Kharif marketing season has showed an increase of 20.18% over last year. Agriculture Ministry said government has purchased over 224 lakh tons of paddy against the last year's corresponding purchase of around 186 lakh tons. About 18,91,000 farmers are benefited from the ongoing procurement operations, with minimum support price value of over 42,422 crore rupees. The paddy procurement is progressing at a good pace in the procuring states of Union Territories of Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Tamil Nadu, Chandigarh, Jammu and Kashmir, Kerala, Gujarat and Andhra Pradesh. The ministry said out of the total purchase of paddy, Punjab alone has contributed over 158 lakh tons, which is 70.52% of the total procurement. The ministry said, based on the proposal from the states, approval was accorded to Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana, Gujarat, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Rajasthan and Andhra Pradesh for procurement of over 45 lakh tons of pulse and oil seeds of Kharif marketing season 2020 under Price Support Scheme.
The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs CCEA has approved the 1,810 crore rupee investment proposal of the 210 megawatt Luhri Stage 1 hydropower project on River Satluj, which is situated in Shimla and Kullu districts of Himachal Pradesh. Briefing media in New Delhi, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar said the project will be commissioned within 62 months and it will lead to reduction of 6.1 lakh tons of carbon dioxide from the environment annually. He said the project is being implemented by Satluj Jal Vidyut Nigam Limited on build, own, operate, maintain basis with active support from the centre and state government. Mr. Javadekar said the construction activities of the project will result in employment to around 2,000 persons and will contribute to overall socio-economic development of the state.
हिमाचल में लुहरी हाइड्रो प्रोजेक्ट करने का निर्णय लिया गया। 210 मेगावाट का ये बिजली का प्रोजेक्ट 1810 करोड़ रुपए के लागत से बनेगा। इससे 775 करोड़ यूनिट हर साल बिजली मिलेगी। इससे 2000 लोगों को प्रत्यक्ष और अप्रत्यक्ष रोजगार के अवसर मिलेंगे। हिमाचल को 1140 करोड़ रुपए की बिजली मुफ्त मिलेगी।
The second batch of 3 Rafale aircraft landed at Jamnagar Air Base in Gujarat yesterday evening. The aircraft got airborne from Istres Air Base in France and flew non-stop for over 8 hours. They covered a distance of over 3,700 nautical miles with 3 in-flight refuelings. These jets are expected to reach Ambala after a day-long break at Jamnagar Air Base. The IAF is expecting 3 to 4 Rafale jets to be delivered every 2 months. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has congratulated the Indian Air Force for successfully accomplishing a highly complex mission in a professional and safe manner. Army Chief General M.M. Naravane will be conferred the rank of Honorary General of the Nepali Army by Nepalese President Vidyadevi Bhandari today at an investiture ceremony to be held at Sheetal Niwas in Kathmandu. General Naravane will hold bilateral talks with his Nepali counterpart, General Purnachandra Thapa. Tomorrow, General Naravane will deliver a lecture at Nepal Army Staff and Command College in Shivapuri, where senior Nepal Army officers will be present. General Naravane started his 3-day Nepal tour by visiting religious places yesterday. General Naravane went to Kumari Ghar in Kathmandu Darbar Square and worshipped living goddess Kumari and later toured around Basantapur Darbar Square along with his wife Veena Naravane.
President Ramnath Kovind has promulgated the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Ordinance 2020 to further amend Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. The ordinance aims to ensure that all the stakeholders get an opportunity to seek unconditional stay of enforcement of arbitral awards where the underlying arbitration agreement or contract or making of the arbitral award are induced by fraud or corruption. Through the ordinance, an addition has been made to Section 36, whereby, if the court is satisfied that a prima facie case is made out that the arbitration agreement or contract, which is the basis of the award, was induced or affected by fraud or corruption, it will stay the award unconditionally, pending disposal of the challenge made to the award under Section 34. The 14th edition of Central Teacher Eligibility Test CTET will be held on 31st January 2021. Earlier, the CTET examination was scheduled to be held on 5th July this year in 112 cities all over the country, but was postponed due to administrative reasons. The Central Board of Secondary Education CBSE said that to maintain social distancing and other safety measures, the examination will now be conducted in 135 cities. A list of cities is also available on CTET website www.ctet.nic.in. Keeping in view the difficulty faced by candidates due to COVID-19, the board decided to give one-time chance to the candidates for corrections in their option of city from which they want to appear in the CTET examination. The candidates who wish to change the examination city can make online corrections from 7th of November to 16th of November till 11:59 p.m. You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair virtual Global Investor Roundtable Conference today. Campaigning for third and final phase of assembly elections in Bihar ends this evening. Paddy procurement during current Kharif season goes up by more than 20% over last year. Second batch of 3 Rafale aircraft lands at Jamnagar Air Base in Gujarat. Cinema halls, drama theatres, multiplexes and auditoriums to reopen in Maharashtra from today. And in IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians to take on Delhi Capitals in first qualifier in Dubai this evening. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
News Services Division of All India Radio brings to you program Employment News in association with the Publications Division, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. An effective platform for information on job vacancies, training programs, admission notices, results and career advice with experts. Every day at 4:20 p.m. on FM Gold and other frequencies and on our YouTube channel AIR News Official.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
India has achieved another significant milestone in its fight against COVID as more than 76 lakh people have recovered from the infection so far. The national recovery rate has reached 92.09% with overall recovery of nearly 76,56,000 patients. The recovered cases in the country stand at over 14 times the number of active cases. Over 53,000 patients recovered and were discharged in the last 24 hours, whereas the new confirmed cases reported in the same time span stood at nearly 46,000. The active caseload of the country has also fallen below 6.5%. The total positive cases in the country today stand at 5,33,787, which comprises merely 6.42% of the total reported cases. The Health Ministry said that enhanced countrywide medical infrastructure, implementation of the centre's standard treatment protocol by the states and union territories, and total dedication and commitment of doctors, paramedics and frontline workers have led to a persistent increase in the number of total recoveries in the country. It said this has also led to a commensurate dip in the fatality rate, which stands at 1.49%. Meanwhile, the country has crossed another milestone in terms of COVID testing, with nearly 12,10,000 COVID samples tested in the last 24 hours. The cumulative testing figure has reached the 11 crore 30 lakh mark. A total of 6,842 new confirmed cases of coronavirus infection were reported in Delhi during the last 24 hours, taking the total number of cases to over 4,09,938. The Delhi government said that over 3,65,000 people affected by coronavirus have been cured so far. In the last 24 hours, 5,797 people recovered and 51 deaths were reported in the national capital, taking the toll to 6,703. Presently, the total number of active cases in the national capital is 37,369.
Uttar Pradesh government has strengthened vigil in western part of the state, keeping in mind the rising number of corona cases in Delhi. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath again appealed to the people of the state to remain vigilant during the festive season. More from our correspondent.
Principal Secretary Health Alok Kumar said that government is keeping an eye over the situation in the western part of the state in view of the COVID scenario in neighboring state. He said that the number of COVID patients in state are decreasing continuously. The state currently has 22,676 COVID patients. He said that in the last 24 hours, 2,167 new COVID patients have been found in the state and the recovery rate of the patients is improving day by day. Meanwhile, the focused group testing is being conducted all over the state in the wake of festive season. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In Madhya Pradesh, more than 30 lakh tests have been conducted so far, while around 700 new cases were reported in the past 24 hours. At the same time, the number of patients recovering in the state is more than the number of infected persons since many days. A report.
A total of 26,191 samples have been tested yesterday. The positivity rate in the state has come down to around 2.6%. The positivity rate means the number of people testing positive per 100 samples. On the other hand, the death toll in the state reached 2,987. However, 46 districts have reported less than 20 new infections a day, while more than 40 districts have not reported any new death. It was the 7th consecutive day when the number of people recovering from the corona infection outnumbered those testing positive. With 884 people beating the virus yesterday, the tally of recovered cases reached more than 1,63,000. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Bihar, COVID-19 recovery rate has improved to 96.50%. This is a 4.50% more than the national average. The number of active cases in the state is continuously declining. Currently, 6,560 patients are undergoing treatment at various hospitals. In all, 976 patients recovered during the last 24 hours, while 541 new cases were reported. Over 2,11,831 patients have so far recovered from the infection in the state.
In Maharashtra, the cinema halls, drama theatres, multiplexes and auditoriums outside the containment zones will reopen today. According to a notification issued by State Chief Secretary Sanjay Kumar, these entertainment zones will be allowed to reopen with 50% of its capacity. The notification does not allow eatables to be taken inside these places. More from our correspondent.
Acceding to the request of the entertainment industry, the state government has given a go-ahead to reopen theatres, multiplexes and auditoriums in non-containment zones from today. It will be after a gap of almost 8 months that these places will reopen for the people in Maharashtra. The state government has also allowed resumption of sporting activities outside the containment zone. The order also states that swimming pools used for international, national and state level players for their training will be allowed to operate from today onwards. Yoga institutes and indoor sports like badminton, tennis, squash, shootings will also be allowed to reopen with proper sanitization measures and ensuring social distancing. With Kunal Shinde, this is Devopriya Bhattacharjee, AIR News, Mumbai.
Gujarat recorded 975 new corona cases during the last 24 hours. Recovery rate has improved to 90.86%. More from our correspondent.
Gujarat has recorded a total 1,76,608 cases till now. Out of these, 1,60,470 patients recovered. 1,022 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. More than 62,62,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date. Maximum 214 new cases reported from Surat, while Ahmedabad recorded 174 new cases. At present, total active cases in the state are 12,398, out of which 64 patients are on ventilator. 6 patients died yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 up to 3,740. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Tamil Nadu, the fresh COVID infections during the last 24 hours came down marginally to 2,487, including 657 in Chennai. The active caseload has dipped to 19,154. Meanwhile, the state government has decided to consult parents on the reopening of schools in the state. More from our correspondent.
The state government announced earlier that schools from the 9th standard onwards and all colleges will reopen on the 16th of this month. However, different sections of the society expressed reservations, saying it may not augur well for the resumption of classes physically for now. It has led the state education department to go for another round of detailed consultations with the parents and other stakeholders at 10 a.m. coming Monday. The headmasters of the schools have been asked to hold the meetings. Those parents who could not attend it physically can submit their opinion in writing. It has now been announced that any decision on the date of reopening of schools will be based on the inputs received from the parents during the fresh round of consultations. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has constituted a committee to review guidelines on television rating agencies in India. Prasar Bharati CEO Shashi Shekhar Vempati will be the chairman of the committee. The members of the committee are Dr. Shala, Professor of Statistics in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at IIT Kanpur, Dr. Rajkumar Upadhyay, Executive Director of CDOT, and Professor Pulak Ghosh of Decision Sciences Center for Public Policy. It said there is a need to have a fresh look at the guidelines, particularly keeping in view the recent recommendations from Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, TRAI, technological advancements and interventions to address the system and further strengthening of the procedures for a credible and transparent system. The committee will carry out an appraisal of the existing system, examine TRAI recommendations, notify from time to time overall industry scenario and addressing the needs of the stakeholders, and make recommendations for robust, transparent and accountable rating system through changes, if any, in the existing guidelines. The committee can invite any expert as a special invitee. The committee will submit its report to the Minister for Information and Broadcasting within 2 months. Union Minister for Social Justice and Empowerment, Thawarchand Gehlot, will inaugurate virtually a free distribution camp of assistive aids and devices for identified Divyangjans of North Mumbai. A total of 1,740 aids and assistive devices valuing close to 88 lakh rupees will be distributed phase-wise among the pre-identified beneficiaries through such camps. At the inaugural camp today at Poisnur Gymkhana in Kandivali, aids and assistive devices of different categories will be distributed among 150 Divyangjang, which includes 21 motorized tricycles.
In the United States, counting of votes is underway for the keenly contested presidential election. States like Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona and Georgia remain too close to call. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden leads the race with 264 seats, while incumbent President Donald Trump leads with 214 seats. In the 538-member Electoral College, the winner needs 270 seats to be declared as the eventual winner. Here's a report.
Nevada election officials say they expect to release more election results tomorrow from the battleground state where 6 electoral votes hang in the balance. The governor of Pennsylvania, Tom Wolf, said Philadelphia's ballot counting process is an open and transparent one. President Trump claimed some legitimate tallying efforts should stop and tried to assert victory in the election, while Joe Biden urged patience as the votes continued to be counted. The margin between Trump and Biden has now narrowed to almost 1%. The outcome of the U.S. presidential election is on a knife edge, with Donald Trump and his rival Joe Biden neck-to-neck in key swing states. President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden both won states they were expected to win in their bid for a majority in the Electoral College that determines who wins the presidency in the country's indirect form of democracy. Tanvi Khurana, AIR News, Delhi.
In the Indian Premier League cricket, Mumbai Indians will take on Delhi Capitals in the first qualifier in Dubai this evening. The match will begin at 7:30 p.m. While the Mumbai Indians played like the defending champions almost throughout the league stage, the Capitals stumbled midway before finding their footing just at the right time. While the winner gets a ticket to the final, the loser will have a chance to redeem themselves in the eliminator. Mumbai Indians have a better record in the playoffs. As well, the 4-time champions have won 4 of their last 5 playoff games. The Capitals, on the other hand, have just got 1 win from their 6 playoff or semi-final appearances and have never reached the finals. In the eliminator scheduled to be played in Abu Dhabi tomorrow, Royal Challengers Bangalore will clash with Sunrisers Hyderabad. Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. In Jammu, sky will be generally clear with minimum temperature of 13, maximum of around 30 degrees Celsius. Srinagar will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature in the city was 1 degree Celsius, while the maximum will be around 20 degrees. In Leh, sky will be partly cloudy, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Minimum temperature was -3 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 15 degrees. Gilgit will have a mainly clear sky with temperature rising from 1 to 24 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, the sky will be mainly clear and the temperature will move from 8 to 29 degrees. The national capital will experience moderate fog. The temperature will hover between 13 and 29 degrees Celsius in New Delhi. In Mumbai, sky will be mainly clear. Minimum temperature in the metropolis was 24 degrees. Maximum will be around 34. Chennai is likely to witness a generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The temperature will hover between 26 and 30 degrees. Kolkata is also expected to have a mainly clear sky with temperature varying between 21 and 31 degrees. In Dehradun, temperature will hover between 11 and 28 degrees. City will have a mainly clear sky. Chandigarh sky will be mainly clear with temperature oscillating between 13 and 29 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Divided States of America is the Hindustan Times headline on the U.S. presidential elections, heading for a nail-biting finish. America's future on razor's edge leads the Times of India. The Asian Age writes, cliffhanger in America, tight races in key states to decide next U.S. president. Armed Forces propose hike in retiring age of officers, pension formula review, move to help retain skilled manpower, reduce burgeoning pension bill, reports a pioneer. Supreme Court lays down guidelines for matrimonial cases. Deserted wives, children entitled to alimony from date of application, says court, notes the Hindu. Domestic airlines allowed to operate at 60% capacity of their pre-COVID flights till February 24 next year, states a pioneer. And finally, more companies mull higher salary increments in 2021, buoyed by business revival trends, observes the Economic Times.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to chair a virtual Global Investor Roundtable Conference today. Campaigning for third and final phase of assembly elections in Bihar ends this evening. Paddy procurement during current Kharif season goes up by more than 20% over last year. Second batch of 3 Rafale aircraft lands at Jamnagar Air Base in Gujarat. Cinema halls, drama theatres, multiplexes and auditoriums to reopen in Maharashtra from today. And in IPL cricket, Mumbai Indians to take on Delhi Capitals in first qualifier in Dubai this evening. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.